What's up guys, Kudabout.com here. So today I'm gonna be showing you how to paint your leg trims and your footrest. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna start removing the Piaggio logo. You gotta be really careful with this one because you don't want to break it or scratch the scooter. So I'll recommend putting a rack right next to it. You got a little gap under there, so you want to lay the flat screwdriver on top of the rack and get through that little gap and just remove it out. It's pretty easy. It's not like too strong, but you don't want to scratch your scooter, so I'll recommend using a rack. So after you remove the Piaggio logo, make sure you put it in a safe side. We're gonna go ahead and remove that fastener right there. Take out the cap. You got the little light connector here. You can just remove the light if you want. It's more easier. Just leave it there and put the screw back in place so you are not losing anything. So after that, you want to go ahead and remove these two fasteners here in the front. Then we're going to remove the pads. Move the handle over to the side. This is where the coolant goes. And you can head and move the handle over to the other side so you clear your way to remove that fastener. Now the cap. So after removing the two pads, there is two more fasteners, one in the right hand and then another one in the left hand. I just want to remove those two inside the scooter, so you want to put your nail on it and hold it like that. Put that in the side. And you can go ahead and remove the coolant cap. That one has to be removed so you can remove the whole glove box. Then we're gonna open up the glove box, and there's a little one fastener. You got four more fasteners here in the bottom. Just remember that the screw that is in this corner is shorter than the one in the corner. So you just want to be careful with that. You want to make sure when you assemble everything, the long screw goes into the outer corner and the short one goes into the inside. You want to be really careful with that because there is a hose from the coolant going down here, so you don't want to put a hole in that. That's pretty critical. So then you want to put a rack. Just get a rack and put it under here because we're gonna be laying down the glove box in here, so these corners are pretty sharp and you don't want to be scratching your paint. So you just want to juggle and just play around with it. You want to get away from the coolant. See, get that plastic through there so you can actually remove it very carefully. Make sure you're not scratching anything here in the bottom. You can probably use your fingers to help you out. Here's some cables that are holding the plastic here in the back. Here's a little plastic clip that's getting stuck into the immobilizer antenna. So you want to go into a side and remove that. So here's where the rack comes in hand. Just make sure it's nice and there. The whole glove box in there. So once you're inside here in the glove box, you want to disconnect the little bottom for the helmet compartment. You got all your connectors here for different accessories. You clip this right here. With all this cable disconnected. And let me show you a closer look on how to remove the fuse, because there is a pretty delicate part that you want to be careful with it. So as you can see, that one right there in the middle is the clip that you need to be careful with it. So you want to grab some needle pliers and take it like this and just lift it to the upper side and just slide this out carefully, just like that. So you want to be really careful because that's a very delicate part. It's not replaceable, so you just want to be careful with it. Then after removing the fuel box, we got that cable from the seat, for the manual seat. So you want to pull that out with your needle pliers. You can help you lift the cable a little bit. You just gotta slide it out like that. See? Then from the back, you just want to play around with that plastic and just move it around. As you can see how it's popping up, and that's it. You got your little cable out. So now that you have removed all the cables from the glove box, you can go ahead and carefully remove it from the scooter, just like that. You're gonna give it a nice clean, and as you can see right now, here is the problem for the door. You see how both fasteners are completely loose. See? So you want to lay a towel or a rack on top of it, because we're gonna be flipping this over, and this is something important to take care of it, because then you're gonna start scratching the paint like it happened with this one, and you don't really want to have those scratches in there, like it's pretty annoying. But you want to close the door, flip it over, and as you can see, it was completely loose, almost all the way out, only 2 turns. It's crazy. So you want to go ahead and tie those down pretty well. Nothing crazy, just nice and snug, so they don't come loose again in the future. I'll loose this a little bit, set that in place again. I'll just go ahead and tie. Now we got both are tied, and now as you can see, open now freely. See how nice that looks? Oh yeah, nice and stiff. Now the next thing will be to remove the floor. Now we're gonna proceed to remove the battery cap, and you just want to remove this to get access to one fastener right behind. You just want to, a very long one. So we're gonna proceed and remove the foot pegs. You don't actually necessarily have to remove the foot pegs at all, but I'm gonna be removing them because I'm gonna be restoring them and painting it into black. So I'm just gonna head and take advantage and disassemble it, the whole thing. It's a pretty tight fit in here. You want to put the Allen key there, and you want to put the wrench, the close part of the wrench, to help you put some torque on it to fit. So you want to go nice and easy. And there we go. So to remove the side panel is pretty easy. You got a fastener here, and there's a nut here in the back. So you probably want to have a 10mm wrench. It's around here, the corner. So you want to put your hand in there and find it. Fastener right here, and you can remove the panel from the back to the front. And that's it. Here's where that little nut goes. So you want to put that back in place so you don't lose it as well. And this is screw, you set it in there and set this in a side. Right here there's a single fastener here at the bottom, and you just want to take that out and put it in a side too. Now start removing the trim, and you don't want to just like rub it and just rub the whole thing, because you're gonna break it. So you want to go like pull it a little bit from the side. Just go really careful because you don't want to be breaking things. Just try to get your fingers into a side and just try to just, you know, pull it out carefully. You don't want to be like rubbing that because you're gonna break it. So just go carefully front and side. You just want to lift it a little bit, turn it to a side so you can get your fingers in there and just pull it right out. There's only 3 fasteners under this one. I'm gonna put this on the side, and you also have that big one right there. Fastener right there. I'm gonna start removing the trim carefully.
Es kommt auf den Schabbel!
There we go. See how bad one that is. So we're gonna be sanding down this whole thing and repaint it. So after removing all the fasteners, you wanna just play yourself around. You wanna remove it from the top like this to the bottom so you're not scratching in the back. Just like this. This is how you get access to the trim. So the trim is just pop right out. Just be careful with it, you don't want to end up breaking it. So just go gradually, and that's it. Okay, so we're gonna proceed to change that ugly hook. Very ugly. It's pretty simple fix. You just have to get the whole glovebox out. You only have these 2 fasteners. Those fasteners out, 2 Phillips screw, and you got that ugly thing. Fucking hell. So on the box you're just gonna get 2 screws and the actual piece, but you actually want to go and grab yourself a couple of washers maybe in the hardware store, because you don't want to be like going through those holes with the bare screws. And also, as you can see, these holes are a little bit more smaller than the fasteners that they come with it. With your screwdriver, just like open those a little bit. Just a little bit, you don't have to go over too much. Just get that starter and get the other one started. Head in the correct position. Before you go all the way, you want to make sure it's a straight, that's perfect fit. So you got a nice clip. Beautiful. Okay, so since we're gonna be painting these babies, we're gonna remove the system out of it and the rubber pieces. The way to remove these is by removing that little clip right there and the main pin here on the top. So you probably want to use some masking tape when removing the pin, so when it becomes freely, it doesn't go flying all over the room, and then you have to spend like half of the day looking for it. So you want to set that masking tape there, and with a flat screwdriver try to remove it. Doing some little torque. So once you remove it, the clip is gonna stick into the masking tape. So you're just gonna leave it in there so you're not losing it. So once you close it, it's gonna get released. You got a little washer there, and you want to remove that pin carefully, you don't lose it. And put that in there. Move that to a side. So once you loosen up the other one, you can just push it with your finger. Might be a little hard. You can maybe twist it a little bit like this, and it will just pop that pin free. A couple of taps with a screwdriver. By closing it and opening it freed up that pin. So you just remove that freely. That little rubber piece come off. Make sure you save that too. And that's why you want to use a masking tape, so everything is nice. And here, so you got all these little pieces. Be careful you don't lose them while you're painting. And you have this older little one here. You can just take it out and put some new glue on it when reassembling everything. So this is now ready for sanding down and painting the foot peg. So you need to put that in a side, put this in a side, and let's proceed to do the other one. So these two babies are ready for sanding. Remember, these are the pieces that you need to be careful with it. The two little pins, the two rubber pieces, the washer, and the clip. So make sure you save those. That's why I like to use the masking tape, because it's better to keep them in place. I'm gonna use the 220. You don't want to go too deep with it. And you want to fold that. And we're gonna start where we have most of the scratches. We can get rid of those. Nothing crazy, just to get some texture. And get that nice and smooth. This is how it should look after sanding. See the difference between the one I haven't worked out yet. So I'm gonna be trying to remove those scratches from here with the sandpaper. So you're just gonna go over that. Maybe not this one, because this is plastic and this got like a little bended. So I'm just gonna try to do the best as possible. But what you wanna do is get some texture on it so the new paint can stick very well. So. After you finish sanding down the trims, you want to give it a nice rinse with some soapy water, or just water, just to get all the dusty part out of it. And as you can see, I was able to get rid of some of the scratches. Like I said, not that one, because that's that one, but like the ones in the bottom, they're gone. So we're gonna proceed to start painting these babies. You wanna go a little lighter, just like this. You don't want to go too hard. Let it dry for a couple of minutes, and then you just go for another one. I'm gonna be applying like 4 or 5, since these trims are, you know, in the edge of the scooter, and you don't want them to be scratching that much and doing all this work again. So I'm using this paint, which is also bonds to plastic, which is very important because these pieces are made out of plastic. So you want to get a paint that can hold also bonds into plastic very well, and these are really good brand for it. So you just want to go over, just, you know, get a nice quote, nothing too thick. After I'm done with all the cleaning, I took advantage that I disassembled the whole thing, and I cleaned the inside because it was sand everywhere and everything was, you know, very dirty, and I don't like to see things like that. So I just took advantage that I removed everything. I removed the battery, cleaned everything, the inside, the hoses, the cables, and I just went over with a rag, you know, with a soap and water when I was washing the whole bike, and just clean everything so it's nice and clean. So now that we have finished painting the trims, They're very nice looking, black mat. So we're gonna head and install them. It's pretty simple, but you wanna be careful when installing them because you don't wanna break it or scratch them. So you're gonna start from the top. You're gonna press that down. You're gonna try to get like the shape of it, and then you're gonna press it down completely. Be careful in the car if it was to scratch it. Sometimes you just gotta give it a nice tap like that so it gets into place. It's pretty simple. You just wanna be careful. You scratch your new paint trim. Man, that looks sick. So now we're gonna head and start assembling the glove box and the floor. And I still have to do the footrest, sorry. I still need to sand them down and paint into black so they can be ready for install. But I'm gonna be doing that later because you have anyways to assemble all these to be able to put those in again. So we're gonna start assembling everything and good looking. Look how nice that trim looks. So after we put the trims on, you can start reassembling the floor and then the glove box. And it's very simple. You just do the same as you did when you disassemble. So I'm gonna start sanding down this baby. But before you start sanding this down, you gotta use some paint thinner or some paint stripper because this have like a clear coat on it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of shiny, and actually it's already peeling off. See the oil? So you wanna get that old clear coat out so you can start sanding this down. So you're gonna be using this paint stripper gel, and just let it sit for a little bit. So we're gonna head and start doing that. So after you go with a brush, you go all around, try to get all those little corners around, make a thick layer of this gel, and then you want to go ahead and let this sit for a little bit, and you want to put over a bag on top of it. Okay, once you let this sit for overnight and you remove it, you're gonna see how that clear coat is completely literally gone. So you want to go ahead and wash this. You usually just go with a brush. You just grab it. You don't want to get chemicals in your hand, and just go over like this. So after you wash them, you just want to go let them dry for a little bit. You just help yourself with a rag. So you can start sanding these babies. So as you can see how bad they are. See that corrosion? We're starting to get rid of that clear coat. I could just start sanding this down and make them look like new again in chrome. But since I'm trying to black out the whole scooter, I'm gonna be painting this on black. So I'm gonna start with the 80 so I can get rid of that contrast here, so we are not seeing that into our paint. That's gonna give it a nice scratch to it. It's gonna matte that down, and that's what we're looking for. Give it a rough finish so we can put the new paint and stick. You can always get the Sinolis there's a lot of options that you can buy and save this work and make your bike look a little better. But this is the DIY homemade version on how to restore these babies in a cheap way without spending any money. So after you finish the sand down, you just want to give it a nice wash again with a soapy water or just with water to get rid of all the dust and stuff. And this is what the look you want to finish with, a matte scraped finish, so you give some texture for the new paint to stick better. So I tried to went through those little lines with the sandpaper to get rid of all that shit in there. I did the best I could, and they're ready for paint now. So after you're done with the painting and you let them dry for 24 hours at least, look how nice that paint came out. Very, very nice finish. That's why you want to give it a nice sand down before you paint it, so when you get the result, they're very nice and smooth looking like this. So it's very important that you do the correct sand down, and that's why we strip down the old clear course, so we don't have those marks on our new finish. So this is the right way to do it. Let me just zoom in and give you a closer look on how to assemble this back together. So you're gonna proceed to install that little thing, the little metal one, looks like a spring. That's the right way that goes. So these two are gonna be coming like this, and you're gonna have to try to align those 3 holes for you to be able to swap that pin back in place. So you wanna lay this on top of it, and you wanna be looking through that little hole, and there is a position of the foot that we align everything together. You can see the hole through there, and you want to slide that pin. There we go. And you want to make sure the one here in the bottom. Probably want to hammer. Probably want to use your rack to put it on top of it. So just in case you're in crash, you just give it a couple taps, so you help that pin go through the one in the bottom. Give it some nice tap. And make sure that's in there. So after we swap the paint in there nice and tight, you want to grab that little washer, the tin washer, and you want to lay that on top of there, and you want to have your pin, the little pin, and just try to get it started right with the washer, because the pin actually goes from the bottom and it's very hard to reach once you swap that arm in there. So you just want to hold your pin with your fingers a little bit and just try to position it into the right hole. You can help yourself with a screwdriver. You want to push that pin back, try to put it right into the place. Flip the whole thing and just juggle it around and move it around, it will just slide right in. So once you have that sliding in, you're able to grab your clip and slide that in place. As soon as you slide that pin in, you are all set. Close and open nicely. This is how you assemble. The next thing we're gonna do is put our little rubber pieces back into place, and I'm gonna be using an epoxy to glue that in there. So once you prepare your epoxy, you're gonna grab those pieces and just push a little bit, not too much. You don't have to strongest thing, and you just wanna put that in there back into place. With a nice press. Let that dry for a little bit, a couple of minutes. Now we're good to go. And that's it. That's how you give a nice look without spending that much money on buying with a new trim and new footrest. You can just do it as simple as easy. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, click that like button, share with your friends, and see you in the next one.